It begins with a question that shakes the foundations of British politics. Can the death penalty ever return to the United Kingdom, more than half a century after its abolition? A simple question on the surface, but one that cuts deep into the heart of justice, national identity, and the values Britain claims to uphold. Prime Minister Keir Starmer found himself confronted with this very issue in Parliament, not by one of his usual conservative rivals, but by an independent MP, Rupert Lowe, once a member of Reform UK. Lowe called on the government to hold a legally binding referendum, giving the British people the right to decide whether the death penalty should be reinstated for the most heinous crimes, murders, rapes, and brutal attacks, often committed, he argued, by individuals who should not have been in our country in the first place. Starmer's response was firm and unequivocal. He told Parliament, any attack must be condemned, and people are right to demand justice. But bringing back the death penalty is not the answer. He explained that history had proven it does not work, and worse, that it had led to the execution of innocent people. Instead, he said, Britain should focus on strengthening its criminal justice system, rather than reviving old punishments. Yet even with that decisive answer, the debate refuses to die. Across the UK, public frustration over violent crime continues to rise. Critics point to a justice system seen as slow, overstretched, and too lenient. Police are burdened by bureaucracy. Prisons are overcrowded. And many citizens feel the balance between deterrence and fairness has been lost. This raises the real question. Is it justice the public seeks, or retribution? And can a modern democracy return to a punishment it once abandoned on moral grounds? Midway through this discussion, we want to hear from you, our audience at England Now7. If a nationwide referendum were held today on reinstating the death penalty, how would you vote? Do you believe it's a necessary deterrent to protect society, or a step backwards that risks repeating the injustices of the past? Share your opinion in the comments and let us know where you stand. Starmer's remarks also come at a politically sensitive moment. Rumors of internal division within the Labour Party have been swirling for weeks, with speculation about a so-called coup to remove him. Health Secretary Wes Streeting even appeared on BBC Radio 4 to deny reports that he was part of any plot. Starmer's allies insist the government remains united, with progress being made on economic growth, trade deals, and investment. But politically, unity is fragile, and public confidence even more so. For many Britons, the debate over capital punishment has become symbolic. To its supporters, it represents strength, order, and the defense of society against chaos. To its opponents, it stands as a moral failure, a reminder that state power can destroy the innocent as easily as the guilty. To understand how Britain reached this crossroads, we need to revisit history. The death penalty was abolished in 1965 after a series of wrongful executions shocked the nation. It marked a turning point, a recognition that the justice system, however careful, is not infallible. Since then, Britain has prided itself on upholding human rights and the rule of law above vengeance. Any attempt to revive capital punishment would therefore collide, not just with legal obstacles, but with decades of moral and historical precedent. Still, the questions persist. If justice feels slow and ineffective, what alternatives exist? Should courts have stronger sentencing powers? Should prisons focus more on rehabilitation or deterrence? And what role should prevention, education, and social reform play in reducing violent crime? As we reach the final part of this report, we invite you once again to join the conversation. Is Starmer showing political wisdom, or simply avoiding pressure from an angry public? Could Britain one day vote on this issue in a national referendum? Tell us your view in the comments and subscribe to England Now7 for more in-depth analysis of British politics and society. Because at its core, this debate isn't just about punishment. It's about what kind of nation Britain wants to be. As one British judge once said, true justice does not fear mercy, but it never forgets responsibility. So the question remains, after 50 years without it, could Britain ever return to the gallows? Or has the nation moved beyond that chapter for good? The answer perhaps lies not in Parliament, but in the conscience of the British people, and in the discussions we continue together here on England Now. 7. Sources: The Independent. Starmer rejects MP's call for referendum on death penalty for criminals. LBC News. Death penalty, not the answer to murders and stabbings, says Starmer. BBC News and Bloomberg UK. PMQ's coverage and Labour Party political analysis.